Hi, welcome back. We are back with our next story. Thanks to the research team of the Real Beyond Stories. Durga, in Hinduism, a principal form of the supreme goddess, also known as Devi and Shakti. Goddess Durga was formed to fight Mahisasura, an evil demon. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva combined their powers to, to construct a formidable female form with 10 arms. All the gods combined gave Durga a bodily form. When she arose as a spirit from the sacred Ganga's water, Lord Shiva gave her face, while Indra gave her torso. Chandra created her breast, while Brahma created her teeth. Bhudevi molded her lower torso. Varuna sculpted her thighs and knees. And Agni sculpted the goddess' eyes. As a result, she was an ultimate force produced by combining the abilities of all the other gods. Goddess Durga, also known as Mahamaya, is the great mother of the cosmos who is responsible for the creation, prevention, and eradication of evil forces throughout the universe. The gods then confer on their blessings and weapons on her. The goddess rode into combat on a lion, armed like a warrior. Durga ultimately slew the demon king with her trident after a hard battle. Heaven and earth celebrated at her victory, and the three planets were once again in peace. Ambika battles the mighty Shumba. The goddess Ambika had shattered the great Asura king's Shumba's pride when she refuses to be her queen. Shumba marched against her, leading an army of tens of thousands. Ambika, with the assistance of divine powers of various devas, defeated the invader and inflicted great losses on him. Shumbas lost not only his capable troops but also his brother Nishumbha, who had assisted him in driving the devas from their heavenly supremacy. The inhabitants of the earth and the devas were relieved when peace returned to the three planets. Chandika fights Shumba's army. Shumba, the Asura lord, had proposed to goddess Ambika. She mocked him to show that he, as an avatar of goddess Durga, was stronger than him. To destroy Ambika, Shumba dispatched an army led by capable leaders. However, she and Kalima killed the entire army. It was a slap in the face to the strong Asura, who had arose to the throne of the three realms by driving the Devas from Svarglok and expanding his dominion over the world of mortals. He concluded that Ambika needed to be humble. As a result, he marched out in front of his large army with a twang of her bow. Ambika greeted the Asura horde. The goddess Kalima shouted in approval as the sound echo across the earth and skies. This enraged the Asura even more. On her, he unleashed the whole power of his army. It was a magnificent demonstration of strength. Each of the three major gods, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, dispatched assistance through his divine power. But Shumbha was unconcerned. Wasn't it true that he had already beaten the Devas? What may be the Shaktis he is capable of? Ambika gave birth to a new goddess. Devi Chandika was her name. Shumba released Raktabij, his hidden weapon. Raktabij had a boom that made him unstoppable. If even a drop of blood from his body fell to the ground, another Raktabij would emerge, fully formed and ready to battle. That is why no one has been able to defeat him. The clones. Blood also generated more clones. Chandika used a variety of weapons to try to stop the savage Asura from fighting. Blood streamed from his wounds, yet every drop that reached the ground created a Raktabij clone. Thousands of these clones were also swarming the battlefield. The battle's tide shift in the Asura's favor. Not even a drop of his blood should fall on the ground. Chandika said Kalima. Kali's tongue was extended out and raced over the battlefield at breakneck speed, capturing every drop of blood that dropped from Raktabij, his clown's corpses. Raktabij, unable to expand any longer, charged towards Chandika in despair, only to die at her hands. Nishumbha, Shumba's brother, was the next to die. The Asuras were defeated. Story of Devi Chamundi. Durga slew Mahisha, the Asura ruler. The Asuras returned to Patal Lok after his death. Shumba vowed revenge and ascended to the Asura throne. He launched an attack on Swarglok, the Devas, dwelling with the help of his brother Nishumbha, and was successful in taking it. While the Asuras were celebrating their victory, King Shumba's faithful lieutenants Chanda and Munda kept an eye on the deposed god's activities. The Devas rushed to Mount Himavat and begged to goddess Durga for assistance. Instead of Durga, Lord Shiva's companion Parvati emerged from her abode to listen to their woes. She was understanding. A woman's figure spilled out of her body, stunning to see. She was Ambika, incarnation of Durga. Victory to Ambika, said all who were pleased to see the celestial warrior. From afar, Chanda and Munda were watching, and their eyes popped on Ambika appeared. The goddess' breathtaking beauty was what impressed them the most. She would be a terrific match for our king, Chanda said. Munda said, "You snatched the words out of my lips." Shumba listened intently at his spices, recounted all that had occurred on Mount Himawat. When they told him about the goddess Ambika, he was joyful. She sounded like a symbol of feminine elegance. He announced, I will make her my queen. Without a doubt, she was created for me, the master of the three worlds. He dispatched one of her courtiers to the goddess with a marriage proposal. Ambika was amused by the situation. I, I would want to be his queen. She expressed her desire. But is he the strongest? Strongest? The delegate was surprised. I have made a commitment to only marry the three worlds' most powerful warrior. Is he the most powerful? He is very strong, the delegate remarked. Didn't he vanquish the Devas? You might wonder. The delegate returned to his master, distraught, to inform him of Ambika's rejection of his proposition. Shumba was irritated. Her arrogance complements her beauty, he observed. But she has to be put in her place. Called Dhumra Lochana, his commander-in-chief, and told him to bring Ambika to him. To carry out his king's commands, Dhumralochana marched at the head of an army of battle-hardened troops. He surged forward with a thundering shout as he saw Ambika. The goddess stood still as he approached. Home, she shouted when he got close enough. The sound wave landed in the middle of Dhumra Lochana's forehead. He had been reduced to a smattering of ash. When Shumba learned of the death of his bravest warrior, he was furious. He screamed, glaring at Chanda and Munda. She's mocking me. She's making fun of me. She has no idea who she's up against. Get her now. Take her by the hair and drag her over to me. Ambika was irritated when she saw Chanda and Munda arrive. Her eyebrows furrowed into a dark, furious form, and the dreadful figure of Kali erupted from her forehead. When Chanda and Munda saw Kalima approaching them with his bloodshot eyes, a garland of skulls around her neck, and her tongue lolling, they were terrified. She destroyed their army, knocked off their heads, and delivered them to Goddess Ambika, who embraced her and proclaimed her as Chamundi, Chanda and Munda's slayer. Shumba was at a standstill for the time being, but he will eventually make war against Goddess Ambika once more. Durga and Mahishasura. The Asura Mahisha was the monarch of Patalok, the Asuras' underworld and country. But Mahisha was a power-hungry woman. He desired to conquer both Bhulok, the human realm, and Swarglos, the Devas' celestial home. The Devas were formidable foes, impossible to defeat. Mahisha, on the other hand, was not one to give up quickly. He went to the bush to perform tapas or penance. He didn't move out of his chair to eat or drink. He pondered on Brahma, the Lord of creation, with his eyes closed. He sat in tapas for how long? It must have been a long time ago. Finally, his penance paid off, he was visited by Lord Brahma. Ask for a boon, Brahma advised. Make me invisible, deathless, Mahisha said. Giving such a gift to someone who was intent to rule the three realms were extremely perilous, as Brahma understood. Asuras were as much Brahma's offspring as Devas, and mankind were to him Lord of creation. Any of his offspring would put forth a lot of effort had to be rewarded, and Mahisha's rigorous penance were no exception. He had no choice but to grant Mahisha's boon, at least in part. All who are born must die, the Lord stated hesitantly. I cannot make you eternal, but I can give you a say in how you die. You get to decide how you want to die. Mahisha pondered for a moment, then his face became brighter. If I have to die, let it be at the hands of a lady, he replied, slyly eyeing the Lord. Mahisha was certain that no woman could ever beat him. A dude perhaps, but a lady never. So be it, Brahma remarked as he walked away. Mahisha marched upon Swarglok. His onslaught was so fierce that Indra, lord of the Devas, had to flee. Along with the other heavenly beings, he escaped. Mahisha swelled with pride as he held Swarglok in his hands. He boasted, I am the Lord of the universe. Everyone on this planet should be aware of my power. I am going to make them beg for their every breath. He used his tremendous abilities to alter the path of the moon, sun, and winds, inflicting havoc on the world. Nobody knew where or when the sun would rise or set, if the moon would emerge in the sky, or if there would be enough rain to produce grain. The Devas were worried by the earth's cries of despair. In the approach, Brahma, who was meeting with Lord Shiva and Vishnu at the moment, when the gods of creation Brahma, preservation Vishnu, and destruction Shiva learned of Mahisha's transgressions, they had only one thought: Mahisha had to be stopped. Mahisha could only die at the hands of a woman, they realized. They needed to build a lady capable of defeating him. Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma, as well as all the other devas present, emitted a swan of light. The lights blended into a ball of energy that took on the shape of a divine looking woman. Durga, the invincible one, was her name. Durga was given the Trishul, a three-pronged weapon by Shiva. Other gods also bestowed upon her a weapon that was unique to them. Durga was given a disc by Vishnu in the rod. Durga stood on a formidable lion, which was now armed to the fangs. She marched to fulfill her destiny, the screams of Jai Durga resounding in her ears. The goddess roared like the wind, her eyes flaming with rage to punish Mahisha, the tormentor of mortals and God. The earth shook, the water boiled, and massive rocks tumbled from the peaks of mountain, splintering the plains below. Mahisha sprang from his bed, gathered his weapons, and hurried outside the castle with a blood-curdling shout. Sensing impending disaster, he yelled, "Who comes? Who comes?" A terrible warrior perched on a lion spewing fire, said a guard, terrified, pointing into the distance. Spinting fire, Mahisha said, stunned. He moves in closer to see what was going on. He got closer and closer till he saw her, the terrifying avenger like a blaze of fire. His eyes were ablaze. Her dark hair trailed behind her like a cloud. He screamed, "A lady? She's a lady. Those devas have clocked themselves behind a lady." He told his men, "Go get her. Bring her to me in shackles." Durga's progress was slowed by a portion of the Asura army, but she was just unstoppable. She was terrible use of the weapons she had, killing thousands of people. Durga took a deep breath as Mahisha unleashed the remainder of her army on her. As she has exhaled, hordes of troops erupted from the expelled air. The newcomers dispersed Mahisha's forces by spreading out in all directions. When Mahisha saw the conflict was spiraling out of his control, he transformed into a massive and frightened buffalo and rushed towards Durga. She yanked with a lasso around her neck. Mahisha took on the appearance of a lion as she trembled forward. Mahisha, the lion, was unable to penetrate Durga's defense, so he transformed into an elephant. He turned back into a buffalo when he couldn't make much progress in that shape either. Durga, on the other end, has had enough. She hurled her trishul or trident at the rushing buffalo who fell dead at her feet. The Asuras returned to Patal shocked by the demise of their formidable leader. "My lord, Mahisha, you have not died in vain," an Asura chief, Shumba, vowed as they walked away. "One day I will revenge and kill themselves." However, for the time being, all of the Asuras were back where they belonged. Much to the delight of the Devas and the inhabitants of Earth. In a homage to Durga, the Devas and mortals linked and joined their hands. Since then, Durga Puja is the main festival in the goddess honor in and around eastern states of India. Birth of Goddess Kali. Durga, who had 10 arms, each carrying a weapon, and who rode a lion or tiger in battle, fought with Mahisha or Mahishasura, the buffalo demon. Durga became so enraged that her anger burst from her forehead in the form of Kali. Once born, the black goddess went wild and ate all the demons she came across, strangling their heads on a chain which she wore around her neck. It seemed impossible to calm Kali's bloody attacks, which now extended to any wrongdoers, and both people and God were at a loss what to do. Fortunately, the mighty Shiva stopped Kali's destruction rampage by lying down in her path, and when the goddess realized just who she was standing on, she finally calmed down. From this story is explained Kali's association with battleground and areas where cremation is carried out. In another version of the goddess, but Kali appeared when Parvati shed her dark skin, which then became Kali. Hence, one of her name is Kaushika, whilst Parvati is left as Gauri. This story emphasizes Kali's blackness, which is symbolic to external darkness and which has the potential to both destroy and create. In a third version, men and gods were being terrorized by Daruka, who could not only be killed by a woman, and Parvati was asked by the gods to deal with the troublesome demon. She responded by jumping down Shiva's throat. This was because many years previously Shiva had swallowed halala, the poison which had risen from the churning of the ocean during the creation and which had threatened to pollute the world. By combining with the poison still held in Shiva's throat, Parvati was transformed into Kali, leaping from Shiva's throat in a new guise. Kali swiftly dispatched Daruka, and all was well with the world once more. There is the story of terrible demon Raktabija, bloodshed. This demon was like most demons, causing a great deal of trouble with people and gods alike. But even worse was his ability to produce more demons every time a drop of his blood spilled to the ground. Therefore, each time Raktabija was attacked, the only result was more demons to deal with. The gods decided to work together and combine all of their shakti or divine energy and produce one super being that could destroy Raktabija. The result was Kali. Given all the divine weapons of the gods, Kali swiftly sought out Raktabija and his demons and proceeded to swallow them all while so as not to spill any more blood in the process. Raktabija himself was killed when Kali lopped off his head with a sword and then drank all of his blood, making sure none fell to the ground and thereby ensuring no more demons could menace the world.